Hello and welcome to Comment Breeze. Today we're going to go over just a few of the ways that you can use Comment Breeze to help you build report card comments for your students. When we first come to Comment Breeze, we see three tabs: the main tab that we're on right now, the Build tab, and the Patterns tab. The main tab just has some information about Comment Breeze, but the other two is where we'll be doing most of our work. So let's go to one of them right now. Let's click on Build. So on this tab we see three cards: class details, students, and search comments. Class details are things that will apply to your entire class, or in other words, all of your students. Class name is recommended, introduction and conclusion are optional. The students card has all of the students that you've added. Right now we haven't added any students, so it just has 0 in there. And then the last card is search comments, which has all of the comments in the comment bank. Right now there's about 20,000 comments, so there's quite a few. It's a lot easier to search through them than to just shuffle through the pages like this to try to find applicable comments. So let's go up here and enter a class name. If you don't have a class name, you can just enter something generic like English class. But it is recommended that you enter something in there. Otherwise, some of the comments might look a little weird if it expects a class name, but it didn't get one. So let's add a student now. We will add Alex. I'm done adding students. When we go back, we see Alex has been added. There's no comment text because we haven't added any yet, so let's just go down and add some. Alex is currently selected. You can see by the green line under here. It's a little more clear when you have multiple students, but Alex is selected, and you can confirm that also on this card. It says click on a comment to add it to Alex. And if we just scroll with both into view, you can see all you have to do is click on one to add it to Alex's comments. So let's try to find something that's applicable to Alex. Alex has good reading skills, so let's look through reading and find few. You can see that these are rated either positively, negatively, or not rated. So not all of them are rated, but there are enough rated to maybe help you skim through and find good ones quicker. So let's just use this one. Doing a good job reading the punctuation and using the proper intonation. I like that one. So we'll add that. And as you can see, it changed the gender pronoun to he because Alex is currently selected as a male. Now if we forgot that Alex was actually a female, we could change that at any time, and it changes the gender pronouns. Let's go back down to the comments again and find a couple more. I would like to find something about spelling. Oops, I spelled spelling wrong. So spelling. There's a good one. Now what about behavior? I spelled that wrong too. So Alex's behavior is poor. So let's go over to filter on tone and go to negative. And it finds us all negative comments about behavior. Let's go to that one. And now it's added that to our overall comments for Alex. So when we're done adding comments for a student or multiple students, all we have to do is go to Show Finished Comments. And then you'll see all of the comments that you have. Alex's name is up here right before them. And what you can do from this pop-up is either copy all comments, and then it'll just copy to your clipboard so that you can paste into email or word processor or whatever you use to enter in your comments, or you can go to save comments and it'll download it as a text file. So let's just close that. Now that we know how to add one student and add comments, we can move on to adding multiple students. So let's click on Add Students again. We want to add a student named Jessica, and Jessica's a female, so we have to go over and click on Female and then Add. But that's kind of slow. There's actually a faster way to enter students in rapidly. So if you just put your cursor in New Student Name, enter Jim, we would like to tell the website that Jim is male without actually having to go back to the mouse and click on male and click Add. If you put a space after a student's name and an M or an F for male or female, it will add them as a male or female, and you won't have to take your hands off the keyboard and go to the mouse to select the gender. So let's just put Jim, M for male, hit enter, and Jim was added as a male. So we can go back and forth on that. We want to add Erica as a female, and then we can add Bill as a male. Now if we go to say we're done, we can see that all of our students were added with the genders that we selected. But they're all blank. So we can go down and add comments like that with the search and the filter like we did before. Or if we don't care at all, we can select the student and go to their menu and say regenerate random, and it'll just generate a random comment. Just pull completely random comments out of the database and add those for the student. And so we can do that for all of them if we want. Now, if we like the sentences that it came up with, but we don't quite like the order, you can also shuffle the order, and it keeps all of the sentences that you had. It just changes them around a little bit. So now let's go and look at what our comments look like now that we have multiple students added. On any of the students, it doesn't matter which one, you can always click Show Finished Comments, and it'll show them for all students. So here we see Alex, Jessica, Jim, Erica, and Bill have all been added. When you copy all comments or save all comments, it'll copy or save exactly what you see in here. Let's go out of that. Now let's say that you wanted to say the same thing for every student. That's what introduction and conclusion are for. So if you go to introduction and say, hello class, and conclusion, goodbye, have a nice life. If you go to show finished comments, you can see that those things were added to the beginning and the end of each student's comment. So that's a little bit quicker if you just have things that you always want to say. You can also put in the variable student name, and it will enter that student's name in for each one. It's a little nice way to personalize it on the introduction and conclusion. Let's go look at something else now. If you want to reset the website to exactly the way it was when you came here, you can go to Reset App. Let's do one thing first though. Let's try saving it. When you save from the menu up here, it saves it as a text file that is readable, but it's got a lot of annotations and stuff in it. It's not exactly what you would want if you were submitting it. But what you can do with that is, if you need to come back and work on it later, you can then load that file and it will load it up exactly as you see it now. So say I had 10 students, but I only got done with 5 of them. Save it like that and load it back up later. There's also one more way that your work is saved, but it shouldn't be relied upon as a primary method of saving your work. If you accidentally close the tab or accidentally close the browser or hit refresh or something, the browser will have actually saved your work automatically. So let's just hit refresh right now and see what it looks like. Oh, we had a pop-up immediately that said we found comments saved for 5 students from English class. So if we go to restore cached comments, it'll bring them all back for us. But we don't actually need them now. Let's try something else. So let's go ahead and go to the menu, hit reset app, and then reset the application. So what we should try next is building patterns. Patterns are a way to make sure that each one of your students has comments that conform to a given structure. And the best way to explain that is really just to do it and look at how it works. So if I click on the Patterns tab, we just get brought here, and there's not a lot here right now. We can add pattern pieces. We don't really know what that is right now. What a pattern piece is a pattern that represents one sentence. So you would add a piece for each pattern, or a piece for each sentence that you want to be in each student's comments. So let's say the first one I want to be about spelling. Add it in, and it adds it in down here, and we can see the search text spelling, and this is a sample sentence that it comes up with for spelling. Let's say we want the next one to be about behavior, and maybe another one about reading. So we have three sentences right now, one about spelling, behavior, and reading. If we wanted to move those up or down, we can just move them around. And also, you don't actually have to enter in any search text. So say we want the last comment to just be positive. We don't care what it is. We always need to end on a positive note. So you can select positive from that drop down and add it, and it'll just try to find anything positive to say. So now that we've made a pattern, let's go try to use it. Go back to the Build tab and go to Add Students. Now you'll see there's an option that has been enabled since we made a pattern. It's Generate with Default Pattern. So click on that. Now when we add students, we just added 4 students real quick. Say you're done, and go back, and they've all been added, and they all have been added with sentences that conform to the pattern that we just made. So it looks like there's one about spelling, behavior, reading, and just a positive comment there at the end. And it looks like they're all like that. And you can see right here, it just says this was generated with the default pattern. What the default pattern is something that just applies to everyone unless they have an individual pattern that overrides it. So it's what we edited when we went over here. Now that we have students added, say we wanted to say something different about Julia. We can select Julia, go to the menu, and select Edit with Patterns. Now it gets brought to a pattern that is based off of the default pattern that we just made: spelling, behavior, reading, and just anything positive. But if we edit this right now, it will only change the pattern for Julia. This says right here we're editing the individual pattern for Julia. So let's say we don't want to say something about spelling. After all, we can just delete that, and it'll only use 3. And up here at the top, you can see sample sentences have been changed, so it no longer has anything about spelling. Click on Save to make sure that pattern gets saved. Now if we go to Julia, we can see she no longer has the default pattern. She has an individual pattern. The good thing about patterns is that it doesn't just grab one matching sentence. If you don't like the way this looks, you can regenerate it as many times as you want to find a comment that is satisfactory. So if you go to Menu and Regenerate with Pattern, it'll just keep pumping out combinations of sentences that conform to the pattern you set, but most of the time they will be different sentences. Now let's go over back to another student. What if we wanted to just grade students? We don't care. We don't really care about making a pattern. We just want to do this like rather fast. Let's go to Reset App first before we start on that. So if we go to Build, go to Add Students, and add a bunch of students. Now we see all these students have been added with no comments. Go to the very first student, click on the menu, and click Grade Student. This will come up with a default set of things that you can grade the student on. And so you have reading, behavior, speaking, a few other things. So you can just select negative, neutral, positive, or any if you don't really care. So let's just select some kind of random ones about that and click Save. And now you see that it's graded Luke on those subjects. So we have comments generated for that match each of those subjects. Let's go to the next person we want to grade and grade them. She's good, so let's just say all positive things. Now, a quicker way to do all of them is instead of hitting save, just hit save and grade next student, and it'll automatically open up the next student for you. There we go, save and grade next student. And let's just fool around with that one a little bit. And the last one, you can only click save because there's no next student. So now we have all of our students, and they all have the grading pattern. Don't forget to add a class name though. And we can add an introduction and conclusion. Now show finished comments, and we have our introduction, conclusion, and the body of all of our graded students. Now let's see what else there is. We also have themes. So there's different color schemes for comment-breeze. I don't think you can see this in the video, but if you notice when you select these, the URL changes. If you bookmark it while you're on one of these, when you come back to comment-breeze, it'll automatically load the theme that you chose. And there are a couple other things in settings that do that as well. So if you have a certain way you like to use comment-breeze, set it to that, bookmark it, and then when you come back it'll be pretty close to the way you had it before. And you can click done whenever you're done with themes to make that go away. You can also collapse the class card. Well, I think that's about it. Enjoy using comment-breeze. Thanks. Bye.